Welcome to Empowerment Radio and happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day. Well, let me start today's show with reflecting for a moment on a quote of the great Abraham Lincoln, who said, "America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed it ourselves." I believe that it's not in the spirit of an Abraham Lincoln or the founding fathers to separate children from their parents and to incarcerate them in cages, just because these families have been trying to escape often life-threatening challenges that we cannot even imagine, hoping for a better future in America. I believe that our founding fathers remembered that we are all ultimately immigrants besides the natives from whom we took the country away from. So just to think about how often we are told that the danger is outside of our borders and the borders need to be protected, how fear and anxiety is used to control and manipulate us. I believe the greatest danger we are facing right now comes actually from within, and I'm talking from within all of us. It is when we trade compassion for security, freedom for control, tolerance for righteousness, and kindness for toughness, that we are losing the essence of our humanity, and thus the belief, trust, and hope in each other we need right now more than ever to make this earth great again. So, in the spirit of Independence Day, this show will be about freedom. Independence for me was always freedom, but I never really thought a lot about freedom, so I was caught by surprise when my coach 20 years ago asked me, "How important is freedom to you?" Well, even though my friends and people that didn't know me so well had butchered my name often to Friedemann instead of Friedemann, and Friedemann means man of peace and not free man, I really haven't thought so much about freedom before she asked me that. Maybe I just took freedom for granted. I thought it's normal. I grew up in Germany to travel to most places in this world. I knew that my grandparents who lived in Eastern Germany were not free, and when we visited them there, I certainly saw what it means to live in a dictatorial country, in a country that was completely locked up. But for me, freedom felt I could express my opinions. I could vote according to my beliefs when I was 18 years old, and I could pursue what promises to bring me happiness. And that's probably what most of us are doing. We are taking freedom for granted. But when Michelle, which is the name of my coach, Michelle Sherman of the Vast Institute, asked me this question, it dawned on me that actually many of the choices that I had made in the past were driven more by the need to feel safe than the desire to be free. For example, I had become a physician because it just seemed the secure and logical career choice, especially because my parents and my sister were doctors, and maybe I just tried to also avoid conflict with them. I dressed rather conservatively because I believed that this form of attire was expected from a young physician. I stayed in relationships, sometimes way too long, because they provided me with a sense of comfort and stability. Yet looking back, none of these choices made me truly happy, nor were they really a reflection on my truth. But on the other hand, when I had chosen to follow my heart, to take a risk and make a significant change without really worrying about other people's judgments and headshakes, My level of confidence and happiness and contentment grew each time exponentially. For example, choosing to leave Germany and move to Seattle, to focus on research rather than the clinical work, then to delve into a journey of self-discovery through Kundalini yoga and meditation, to meet Danielle, my wife, and ask her, just after a few months we knew each other, which seemed like we knew each other forever, to move from Tennessee to Seattle. These were not necessarily reasonable choices, and I know that my family had worried about me and the choices I made, but in the end, all of those choices brought an immeasurable amount of growth, joy, and fulfillment. So when Michelle asked me this question, I was still in research at the University of Washington. It made me realize that freedom was actually much more important to me than security, which is why I decided to end my career in academia, in that case academic research, and focus on developing my own mind, body, spirit healing and coaching practice, which has become my true passion and purpose. Now, I could say freedom really paid off for me. But when you think about it, how important is freedom to you? Founding father, I think fitting for this day, Benjamin Franklin said, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." But isn't it true that we usually do that? That we do because of fear and anxiety, of stress, of insecurity, give up and trade in our freedom for a sense of security every day. Like I have in the past, you may also avoid speaking up, making changes, or taking risks. You may hide in the safety of your comfort zone, of a job that you really don't like, but it gives you benefits. You may feel that the freedom to explore and express true potential is for others and not you. Or you may stop being open, curious, and tolerant towards others, and instead judge and reject all those who you deem as different. I think these self-protective patterns are understandable, but the truth is that safety and security come from within. And they're much more than just avoiding our dangers and discomforts that we often imagine, or being in control of all circumstances and people around us. I believe when we are taking the freedom to become the most authentic and empowered version of ourselves, we discover that we do actually have the gifts, the resources, and the wisdom inside of us to make this journey of life not only safe, but also more meaningful and fulfilling. So this show is all about how can we create more freedom in our lives. Because that is something that I believe a lot of people have actually a deep desire for, but not really allowed themselves to pursue. Well, the first question is, of course, how do you know your level of freedom? And how do you know what makes you unfree? Now, you may argue, as I said before, what makes you unfree is the job that you have, or the debt that you're dealing with, the responsibilities, the obligations, and all those limitations that you're facing every day. And in many ways, you could say, well, yes, this could be the prison of your life, of your reality. But the great Stephen Covey once said, every human has four endowments: self-awareness, conscience, independent will, and creative imagination. These give us the ultimate human freedom, the power to choose, to respond, and to change. So freedom is ultimately a state of mind, an attitude towards life. We cannot avoid very simple facts about life. Gravity doesn't give you the freedom to lift off and fly like a bird. The day and night cycle doesn't give you the freedom to enjoy the sunlight 24/7. The very nature of aging is something that we cannot really avoid. Yes, we can resist it, but it doesn't give us the freedom to be as strong and flexible with 70 as we were with 20, at least not for most of us. So freedom isn't about ultimate choices, infinite possibilities, no limitations. The freedom I'm talking about is your awareness to notice when you can make a change and want to make a change because your life and yourself are getting out of balance. Freedom is the openness to remain curious and motivated to discover more of who you truly are. Freedom is striving to make a difference and living from a place of joy and purpose. Freedom is aiming to respect, appreciate, and love yourself and all beings with an open heart and mind. And that freedom is possible no matter what your circumstances are. When we'll come back, we'll talk more about how you can achieve more freedom in your life. So stay tuned. We will be right back. Welcome back to Empowerment Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Friedemann Schaub. And if you're interested in learning more about me, my work, the services I'm offering, my books and CDs, etc., just go to thefearandanxietysolution.com. That's thefearandanxietysolution.com. Now, the Fear and Anxiety Solution, just a brief explanation for those of you who don't know it, is not necessarily just about resolving fear and anxiety, especially what I'm focusing on is resolving it on a conscious and subconscious level. It is also about empowerment. It's about becoming your best and most authentic version of yourself. And that is something that then replaces those old anxiety and insecurity triggering and driven patterns of the past. And that gives you ultimately the freedom to be you and live the life that you deserve and want to live. So again, that is the Fear and Anxiety Solution, all in one word.com. And if this all resonates with you, set up a free phone or Skype conversation with me so that we can talk more about your challenges and how the individual sessions or the video seminar or the book can help you overcome them. Back to freedom. Now, I just came back from vacation and it was actually only 8 days. Now, these 8 days felt like 3 weeks in a good way. And it felt like 3 weeks because I felt free. I let myself be more free even than during my regular day-to-day work life. And I think a lot of you probably have that experience with that vacation mind. And some of you may go on vacation soon. You are free. You are free to just let go of those routines and of those expectations and free of the grind and maybe even free of the short leash that you usually put yourself on, and also free more to explore and to find out what else is out there and what else brings you joy and meaning. So to find more freedom, we need to define more what makes us unfree. I remember one time that I was really in a strict routine of going to the gym every day at a certain time, early in the morning. And there The routine took over. Basically, I was a slave of this decision that I need to do that. And one morning, I realized that what I told myself I have to do was no longer in alignment with what I really felt and needed that morning. When I was tired, my body ached. I had a big day ahead of me, and all I wanted is just stay 30 minutes longer in bed. And I allowed myself to break the routine and make that executive decision and be free to simply take off that day from going to the gym. And the funny thing was, it's a long time ago. I still remember this as such a, in some ways, life-changing decision because I took power back to me. I basically took over my life again and didn't let any decision from the past or any belief become bigger than myself. I continued to work out, but I continued to work out from that time on more in a way that was also listening to my body, what felt more in balance and what felt more in harmony. So, what about you and your routines or your limitations, the things that you feel like you are forcing yourself to do, or maybe the things that you're feeling you cannot change? This is who you are. I'm not sure if you have seen ever the new episodes of Queer Eye that is now on Netflix. Just briefly, the show is basically about five gay guys who are helping people that are stuck in their routines, in their limitations, to just turn their lives around by simple ways, by changing how they dress, by buying a new couch, by helping them to make decisions that they have been procrastinating around for a long time, by giving them more confidence through maybe changing their hairdo or changing the way they are moving through life, how they are holding themselves. Now, the first episode was about a cement truck driver who was pretty much glued to this comfort zone of his, which was after work going to a Mexican restaurant, always ordering the same drink, the same meal, then going home, sitting on his lazy boy recliner, watching TV until he fell asleep, and then do it again. Now, he was not even that old, but it seemed that he almost has given up on life and that anything would change. But deep in his heart, there was someone that he really liked. It was an ex-girlfriend that he was attached to, but he didn't have the confidence to ask her out. He didn't feel worthy. He didn't feel that he could take the freedom to take that risk and ask her out. Well, after the makeover, everything changed. And the beauty was not just that he externally changed, but something about taking care of himself, something about letting him open his heart again and seeing there is another version of himself, a version that can feel good, that sees his value, a version that can also look good. He said at the beginning of the show, you cannot fix ugly. But inside of himself, he realized there is so much beauty and there's such a good person that he felt now encouraged and confident enough to call up that sweetheart that he had not talked to in quite some time. And well, she was more than happy to see that new version of him and was more than happy to rekindle that romance they had before. And who knows, maybe it's happily ever after. Now, this is television, but it is also true that we all have those little dreams inside of us, those desires. What if I could just get out of my recliner? What if I could just get out of my comfort zone and do something more? A client of mine told me this story. She was not really capable of driving and meeting people. She was just too shy. She felt too self-conscious. And so she was running a cleaner business, but it was run by her brothers and her husband because she didn't want to be seen and show up. So she stayed always in the background. Well, after her father had died, and she really felt like she needed to make a big change in her life because she had taken care of him and she hadn't really taken care of herself. She decided to take the freedom and show up because the cleaner was pretty much going down. And the brothers and the husband were unhappy, but they didn't really know how to handle it. And she is extremely smart and capable and charming, but again, all just in hiding. So she showed up. She went to the cleaner and she said, he sent me an email and told me this is the first time in many years that I was a whole day in the cleaner, dealt with customers and joked around and brightened up the whole outfit and people loved it and I loved it and they loved me. And the beauty about it was that from that time on, actually that whole business turned around because her presence and her light and her energy was missing. So when you think about that comfort zone and maybe that inner resistance to taking the freedom to get out of it, think about that maybe your authentic, empowered self, your gifts, your talents, your smile, your light, your love is missing somewhere, that you're not showing up where you're supposed to show up. Maybe you can turn something in your life around. Maybe you can make with that freedom a huge difference in not only your life, but also somebody else's life. So let's focus on getting out of this comfort zone and reclaiming your freedom. Now, that is something that for many is scary because they equate with freedom basically massive changes, throwing everything just away, becoming almost careless, reckless, and selfish. But that's not what freedom is at all about. The freedom to be who you truly are is the freedom to realize that this is a lifelong journey, a practice and a path that you can pursue every day in small and at times bigger steps. But it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be something that is also maybe undesirable for others. And it doesn't have to be something that at the end will make dramatic external changes. It can all start and also remain within yourself. Because when you don't feel free, don't you notice that your body is tight? That you may feel smaller, that your body language is different. Maybe your shoulders are just slumped. Maybe your head is down. Maybe you feel that you're hiding behind excess weight. And when you're free, what happens? You're more open, just like on vacation. You can breathe more freely. And you can also just feel that there are more possibilities ahead of you to explore more of that, what brings you freedom, and more of that that you can bring to the table of life. When we come back, we will do two things. We will going to talk about very specific steps to bring more freedom into your life. Just simple ways, simple suggestions on what you can do. And then we're going to go into a guided meditation that you can use every day just to unload those things that you feel make you hold back, make you unfree, tie you down, and enjoy that sense of being free every day in a small, or as I said, in a bigger way. Stay tuned. We will be right back. Welcome back to Empowerment Radio. We are talking about freedom and how to have more freedom in your life, and how to have more freedom in your life and still feel safe and secure. In fact, feel more safe and secure because you have a greater sense of who you are. You have a greater connection to your authenticity. You feel simply more at home with yourself and capable to respond to anything that life brings you. So, what can you do? Here are a few suggestions on how to practice freedom. And what you may want to do is just take some notes about those ideas, then pick every day one or two, especially those that you feel like are more challenging, those where the walls of your comfort zone are pretty thick and impenetrable. Those are the ones that probably give you the biggest bang for the buck. And once you are practicing those ways of exploring and experiencing more freedom, afterwards you can actually write down in a little journal how it made you feel, what you have learned from it, how it was actually changing something inside of you, and also how the world around you responded to it. Just again, it's a exploratory journey that leads you to your true self. So the first way to explore more freedom is to ask for what you want. There is such a fear inside most of us to get a no, to get rejected, to maybe bother others or feel like that we're imposing on them, so that we are rather being quiet and not asking for help or not asking for what we want, and try to either simply deny ourselves those desires or do it ourselves. There is a coach my wife worked with once who um, has people go to a furniture store and say, "Can I order a pizza?" To ask without necessarily having to have a yes, and feeling secure and safe even though there is a no. Now, I'm not saying that you have to order pizza at a furniture store, but I'm saying that you may just notice more, where can I ask more for what I want? And just practice the freedom of it and see that there is also a freedom to acknowledge more, that you deserve to ask and ultimately get what you want. Well, another way to be more free is to say no and have boundaries. Now, we are afraid of getting the no from others, and we are also often afraid of saying no and having boundaries. Too often, we are just giving in to other people's demands. Too often, we are simply letting people walk over us or just allowing them to take advantage of us. This can be in small ways. This can be at home, where it's totally normal that you are taking out the garbage and not your spouse or your kids. It can be at work, where it's just totally normal to have to work on the weekend because of some imaginatory deadline. It can be that you feel someone is disrespecting you and you're never really saying this is not okay. Whatever those things are, just notice there is a freedom also to speak up on your behalf. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be coming from a place of negativity. It can simply come more from a place of, I am free to take care of myself. I'm free to protect myself and speak up on my behalf. Now, speaking your mind is another way to have more freedom. And that doesn't have to be just a word. No. Speaking your mind is also when you feel like it's important to address something that you haven't really addressed. When you feel like that there's something inside of you, maybe that is a great idea, but you held yourself back because you felt people probably will reject it, or it could be that you have a different opinion, but you're never really sharing it because you feel like you don't want to get into conflict or into an argument. Speaking your mind doesn't mean that you have to be right. It doesn't mean that people have to give you a standing ovation for what you have to say, but it just means that you give yourself the freedom to have a voice. You give yourself the freedom to actually say something that you feel is important. And it doesn't matter what the feedback is. It just matters that you expressed yourself. Sharing your ideas, sharing your gifts, all of those things are a part of having more freedom. A client of mine told me that she is an executive assistant, and she told me that she always was very, hesitant and reluctant to speak her mind and share her ideas with those senior executive people that she worked with. And because she saw them almost as, they have the power, they're in a higher position, I'm just an assistant. And it was in some ways not only scaring her, but it also dehumanized the people that she was working with. So we talked about just speaking from the heart, speaking her truth, speaking her mind. And she did that when she noticed that certain things were maybe in talks they were supposed to give or in communications they were supposed to send out. When she noticed that certain things were just not really in alignment or not really things that she would find good ideas, she spoke up kindly, authentically. And what she noticed was not only that the people that she worked for respected her more, it was almost like that because she was so real and she was free to be real, they could be more free to show what's really underneath the tie and the suit, to show that there is some human being there at home, that there are vulnerabilities, anxieties. It almost felt that they could be finally comfortable to be also themselves because she chose to be herself. So the whole energy at work shifted for her. Now, there is another freedom that I think most of us don't really take advantage of, which is the freedom to take care of your mind, your body, and your soul, which starts with listening, which having the awareness. What does my mind need? Does my mind really need right now to read the news or watch the news? Does my body really need that fast food? Does my soul really need to get angry about politics? Or is what I need something that's much more nourishing? Is what I need something that gives me more space or more quietness, more relaxation? Do I need to go more inside? Do I need to change my eating habits? There is freedom in those changes. There is freedom to listen to that, what your mind, your body, and your spirit are telling you. Well, they do talk to you. Your body tells you what it likes and what it doesn't like. It's always amazing to me how well my body actually communicates if it wants a certain food, if it needs to rest, if it does right now feel like it wants to go for a walk rather than sitting in the desk. My body talks to me, and there is a lot of wisdom. There are hundreds of thousands of years of evolutionary wisdom in every cell of mine. I just have to choose to listen and give myself the freedom to respond. Same with my mind and my soul, that I really am more in tune with that inner communication and free myself from the ideas of what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to ignore myself or deal with myself, and then just really give myself that freedom to take care and take myself first at times. Same thing with dressing the way you want. And how often do we feel like, well, there are certain kind of clothes that are just acceptable. That's what everyone else is doing. There's a certain kind of color, mainly black, that you're supposed to wear. And what if you just gonna ask yourself, what feels good to me? What would be really something that would show a little bit more of my inner spark? That would be an authentic expression of who I am. Then another beautiful, fun way of being more free is to be more vulnerable. I know, scary for many people, but ultimately being more vulnerable is also something where you give yourself the freedom to show more of your heart and show more of that beautiful softness, that light within you, that source of your compassion and empathy, of your kindness. And with that vulnerability, not feeling like, oh, now I'm at the mercy of others, but knowing that with that vulnerability, you are making a stand, that kindness and compassion and caring, that is something that is important to you, and that you want to show that soft side to others, because that is a way that you want to treat those around you and that you want them to treat you as well. And with that vulnerability comes also the freedom to let others in. And letting others in means also that you are free to be honest with who you are to them, so that they can be honest with you, and that there is really an openness, an opening of the heart to get people more connected with you and you being more connected with them on a deeper level. Because the security of saying, well, I keep everyone on arm's length so that A, I don't get found out, and B, if it's not working out, it doesn't hurt as much. At the end, that pain of that stuckness, that pain of never really loving fiercely and unconditionally and openly is far greater than the pain that maybe a failed relationship or someone not really understanding or getting your authenticity can cause you. And with that, also explore. Explore in your relationship. Have freedom to mix it up. Explore what it means to have fun with your partner or with a new partner. Explore sexuality, explore sensuality, explore things that you haven't dared to explore because you felt, well, I'm too old. You cannot really teach me new tricks. This is not who I am. Mix it up. Explore with the freedom of that knowledge that life is limited, because we all gotta die at some point. Time is running out for all of us. So there is also that opening of knowing that this is the now moment that counts to explore more what life can give you, and giving yourself that freedom to do so. In regards to freedom, it sounds all that it's a lot about yourself, but there is also freedom in regards to forgiving others, letting go of whatever they did to you, and give yourself the freedom to let the past be behind you, and the freedom to admit to others when you were wrong, the freedom to show that, yes, I have done something that I don't feel good about, and I want to make amends for this, and I want to change. There's a lot of freedom in that, and that freedom also will give you a lot of empowerment. There are, of course, many other ways to explore greater freedom in your life, like changing your habits, mixing up your routines, discovering unknown aspects of yourself, trying out something new, challenge righteousness and injustice of others, making up your own mind, and also ultimately accepting, appreciating, and loving yourself with much greater unconditionality and with much greater commitment. So these are a few examples that you may pick from every day to explore what it means to you to have more freedom in your life. And through that freedom and that openness with it, not only make life more rich and fulfilling, but also make your relationship with yourself much more based on trust and confidence. And as I said, love and appreciation, which will not only benefit you, it will certainly benefit everyone around you. But before we are running out of time, I would like to guide you through a meditation. This guided meditation is directing your conscious and subconscious mind to become more aware of ways to create freedom in your life and to free yourself from the baggage, the patterns, and limiting beliefs of the past and the present. So lean back and get comfortable. Close your eyes, take a deep breath in, and exhale. And do this again. Inhale and exhale. And now let your breath find its own rhythm, like a pendulum that is slowly swinging back and forth. And imagine that with each breath, you are creating a force field of peace and quietness around you, like a barrier that allows you to disconnect for right now from all external distractions, people, places, situations, and obligations that were occupying your mind. Let it all go for now and relax even more in this sphere of stillness and serenity, the incubation chamber of your growth and transformation. Focus inwards now onto your heart and imagine a door with your name on it. And as soon as you are saying your name, the door opens and allows you to enter into a big room that feels comfortable, welcoming, strangely familiar, but also a bit cluttered, and maybe even neglected. As you scan around the room, you can see there is a little bit of a mess and some debris here that needs to be cleared out. But you are filled with motivation and determination to clean this room and to make it more open, spacious, and light. So go through this inner room with a big bag and collect all the unwanted clutter and junk of the past that no longer serves you. Now you probably realize this clutter is the emotional baggage, the traumas, the thoughts, the patterns and beliefs of the past that held you back. To truly be free to be yourself, you need to discard and eliminate this baggage that has weighed you down and held you back over the last month, years, or decades. But here in the safe place of deep relaxation, it is easy for you to sort out unwanted thoughts and feelings and beliefs and let go of them for good. Let's say you have been hurt by others, or you feel insecure in their presence. You may see now in your inner room a picture of those people, or a tape of what they were saying. When you're ready, you pick it up and put it into the bag, and there is plenty of room there. And if you connect the sense of being stuck or unfree with a place, you could see that on an old map, or maybe there is a symbol which represents that unwanted feeling or belief associated to that memory. Together with your subconscious mind, you're finding the things that caused you pain, feelings of inadequacy, frustration, maybe even guilt and anxiety and sadness. You pick those symbols up, have a brief look at them, and place them into the bag. Now what surprises you is that the more you're filling into the bag, the lighter and more free you feel. You actually have fun cleaning this room. And with a smile you realize that somehow all of these old situations, people, objects and places that had captured some of your energy, that have made you feel trapped and unfree, that you have given to them some of your power. And so every time you are putting one of those symbols, memories, and emotions into the bag, you are taking your power back. And once you have filled your bag with everything that no longer served you, and everything that made you feel stuck. Notice that there is an opening at the top of your room through which a powerful beam of light is shining into the space. Place your back into the light and watch it dissolve, disintegrate, and disappear. And once it's gone, another door opens up. You step through it, and you find yourself on a path that leads you down to a beautiful beach. The sun is shining brightly in the deep blue sky. There are only a few white puffy clouds. And as you gaze out into the distance and see the vastness of the sea, and watch how the waves roll towards the beach in a never-ending sequence, you slip off your shoes. The seawater is refreshing and clear and comfortably cooling off your feet. And you feel a growing sense of peace and calmness as the warm sea air lightly brushes your skin, and as your feet sink into the wet sand. And so you're relaxing even deeper and feel even more free. And soon you reach a dock with a beautiful sailboat, which has your name on it, that is tied to a wooden post. And you notice that there are more than one rope holding the boat at the dock. Each rope represents something in your current life that constrains you. Self-imposed expectations, routines, and old habits that held you back from being free. Every decision or change you have procrastinated about, every relationship that is out of alignment and that it is time now to untie from and let go, is represented by a rope. So one by one, you're choosing now to open the knots of each rope and release them from the wooden post until you feel your boat freely floating, gently bobbing away from the deck. You stand at the helm of your boat, and a wave of exhilaration flows through you as you realize that you have the freedom now to go anywhere you choose, to be anything that you truly are. Choose to be in the moment right now and enjoy the fresh breeze, the vastness of the sea, the bright blue sky, and the freedom from within. Your mind is clear like the blue sky. Your heart is open and light. Your spirit is liberated. And you know that with the wind of freedom behind your sails, you're well on your way to discover more and more the unlimited potential of your authentic self. From now on, you commit to be at the helm of your life, to make freedom a priority, and to use your awareness, your conscience, your creativity, and your courage to explore, express, and embrace the liberated and empowered self, so that your life becomes even more joyful, meaningful, abundant, and fulfilling. Now to end, you can take another deep breath in and exhale and gently open your eyes. Well, unfortunately, another hour of Empowerment Radio is already over. But set your intention for the next few weeks or months or the entire year or the rest of your life. To notice that freedom is within your reach and that you can choose to be free in any way, small or big, every day. Until next time, I'm your host, Dr. Friedemann. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being on this journey to discover your empowered self. Goodbye.